Hello. I told Mike over at Printerstein channel that I would make a quick video of my enclosure that I built for my 3D printer. And there it is. Basically, just some MakerBeam and some Lexan or plexiglass. Just the cheap stuff from Home Depot, the 0.093 thickness. It was interesting build. I did make and remake several times. Basically what I wanted to do was I wanted to capture the plexiglass in the channel, so I had to rebuild my frame. Originally I was using those MakerBeam little squares for the 90-degree corners, and I realized I couldn't put those squares here and link this to this to this with that, because I would have to notch the corner of every one of the pieces of plastic. So I redid it and basically was able to capture the plastic down in the groove. And you may notice that there are some pieces glued and taped together. That's because I was too cheap to buy a new piece, and I just kind of pieced together a couple of sheets that I already had, you know, with some cracks. But all it needs to do is basically keep some heat in, keep some draft out, and sorry about the shaky video. I will work on that. Anyways, just some cheap hinges, drilled and tapped the, no nuts or captures, nothing like that. Just drilled and tapped. A couple of magnets to hold the door shut. Put the metal on the outside, because if you put it on the inside, it holds it way too tight, and when you pull on that, it pulls the whole enclosure. So it made more sense to just put the little metal on the outside, and it closes and holds great. Takes no effort to open and no effort to close. Got little access to my switch and plug in. Pretty tight fit. I mean, I made it that way intentionally. Got a little bit of space there. I really didn't want the cable rubbing too bad. There isn't a whole lot of tension on that, but it will rub, so I'll see how that works. I was trying to make do with some standard size MakerBeam without having to cut a bunch, so that's why it kind of ended up the size that it did. I did have to cut the long ones for the top. Originally it was, you know, about, well, I don't know what those were, 30 centimeters, something like that. Or was it 30 inches? Anyways, ended up cutting them down because it was a lot of extra head space, and I just needed enough room to be able to get the spool on and off. So yeah, and then basically just free from touching there on the bed wires, so that's kind of free. And then I had to kind of leave this open in the front, again, size-wise, because that bed comes all the way forward and overhangs just a little bit over the display. And again, trying to use what I had of the MakerBeam. I didn't want to have to buy bigger pieces and extend that out to capture the whole thing. So that's what I did, and if I have to fill this in with something, I will. But at least I still have access to the screen on the outside and the memory stick, etc. Anyway, I guess that was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But that is the enclosure that I built. The MakerBeam stuff isn't super cheap, but it's kind of fun, and it makes a nice sturdy product when you get done. So, all right. Signing off.